The common roundhouse, boxing, or barnyard type of punch usually starts with a verbal assault. With little time to prepare, verbal abuse can turn into an attack. This is a very common street attack and is done by both trained and untrained opponents.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm not too good. Excuse me?
Excuse me?
What?
Excuse me?
Hey, come on. That's cool.
Oh, sorry, dude.
You're right, you're sorry, man.
Whoa, hey, buddy, I don't want any trouble. I don't want to
You
fight
got trouble coming.
Dude, I don't want any trouble. Let's just chill, okay?
That's too bad.
Dude, let's chill. I don't want any trouble.
I'm not chilling either.
Okay, so you just saw a classic confrontation between two guys walking down the street, bumping shoulders. It happens all the time. Now, the truth is, in these situations, they're not that hard to de-escalate if you just don't screw up. But what happens is a lot of people screw up. But first, let's break that down. Look at what happened in this situation where it went to a fight, even though I tried to keep it from becoming a fight. So we're walking down the street. He started coming in. Now, I could see it happening before he ever got to me, and I could also feel his presence. And in most situations, most people could get out of the way, but I didn't, and maybe you can't in a real situation. So here we go, boom. Now, this is where most people do the classic mistake of chest comes up, the indignant look, and boom. And then next thing you know, it's like gas on the fire, and it's invariably going to come to a fight. But what I did there was I tried to de-escalate the situation. The best thing to do here is, one, keep your distance. What happens is guys tend to puff up that shoulder, the chest, and then next thing, they're nose to nose, and in their mind they're going, I don't want to fight this guy, but they're caught in their macho behavior, and now it's a tough situation. So what you want to do is you want to keep your distance. You have many more options when you can keep at least a 2-arm length distance. So that's what I want to employ at best case scenario. What I did was I took a defensive posture. Hands came up. This is the universal gesture of neutrality, and it communicates, I don't want any trouble. So I'm trying to communicate, trying to calm this guy down. He was really incensed, and he wouldn't have anything of it. But if you'll notice, I said some interesting things. I said, I don't want to fight you. You've got to think about witnesses. You know, when we get in a fight, we don't realize that people have very selective memories when a fight happens. They're in their adrenal minds. They don't remember so clearly. So you want to help the witnesses help you by saying things like, I don't want to fight, let's calm down, let's just chill out, things like that, as opposed to getting in and being all macho, where even if you're the defender, if a witness sees that, they may choose you as the attacker. So at that point, I was trying to de-escalate, trying to calm the guy down. He came in anyway. Okay, at this point, it's not a game. This is a full-on scenario. So in my technique, all we did was very simple. I moved in with my hands up. Remember, the hands were already up. So I'm not doing any fancy blocks or anything. I'm just moving in. Bang! I went for a palm strike. Now, in this situation, it kind of stunned him a little bit. He came back. Now, the truth is, if you really land a good palm strike, now notice I'm going anywhere in the nose area, the facial area. Of course, there are better strike areas than others, but in the heat of the moment, getting fine motor skills, getting pressure points, and really exact locations is very difficult to do. So the basic thing is go for the head area in general. The nose is a great target. Most fights, in my experience, having been in dozens and dozens of real fights, most fights are over if you really, bang, you really go for it, that's going to end most fights. But here we took it to extremes. So this guy is a big, tough guy, drunk, and he didn't respond to that. He came back at me again. I think he actually grabbed me. I think I might have given a knee to the groin, a great technique. Now, this is a situation that happens with a lot of people when they get into fights, because in the adrenaline rush, people tend to get real choppy, and they lose their hip motion, and they hold their breath. That's the beginning of the freeze response. And what happens is you get into this classic flailing motion. So what happens is people are doing this, it's not working, and then they get into the clench. Well, this isn't a bad thing if you know what to do from here. So the groin is a great target. So all I did was I loaded my leg and just give a good strike to the groin. That's going to stop most fights right there as well. Okay, but that didn't work either. He came back at me. I think I went for an elbow, okay, just a straight forearm shot. That's going to stop most fights as well. You'll notice that when I was fighting, I was doing a very loud voice action. The way you get the power inside out, in other words, the way you break the freeze response is through your voice. Hey! And that's where you get maximum power, and that's what you want to have if you've got to get into a fight. Here we took it to the worst case scenario. So after I gave him, I gave him a forearm, bang, he dropped down, just kind of dazed and confused. Now, I'm not saying to do this every time in a real fight. Here, I'm just training to go to the full extent. In other words, maybe the guy's kind of groggy, and I feel like he could still come back after me. So in that particular situation, you saw I chose to come in, wham, do a knee into his head, and that was the end of the story.